From the match fixing scandals of the past to the growing concerns around honey traps in franchise cricket, the IPL continues to battle questions around player vulnerability, security, and corruption risks. The BCCI's latest advisory warning players and support staff against unauthorized visitors, suspicious approaches, and targeted compromise tactics has once again brought the darker side of professional cricket into focus. As the league becomes bigger, richer, and more globally exposed, the pressure on anti corruption mechanisms is also intensifying. To understand what these warnings really mean, how serious the threat is, and whether the current SOPs are enough, we are joined by Joseph Hoover, a former sports journalist and long-time observer of cricket's governance and integrity systems. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. And what, as a sports journalist, how do you see the BCCI's new SOPs coming out in the middle of the game, almost when IPL is about to end?
I found that to be very silly. Because see, normally the wives and the girlfriends travel with the cricketers because they also are human beings. They can't be stressed all the time. So they're allowed to do that. And for the BCCI to come in and say, we are finding this, the honey trapping is happening and all the stuff is quite funny. I found it very, very ridiculous because this is not the way BCCI should have approached it. Instead of going to the public, they should have taken the franchise owners into confidence, had a discussion with them and saying, this is what is worrisome. So kindly look into it. So to go and jump into the deep blue sea and then swim out of it, desperately saying, okay, we find some honey trapping happening and some of the boys are being led into match fixing. I found it very frivolous and it's quite silly. The way I would look at it is very, very silly on part of the BCCI to come up with such a SOP right in the middle of the tournament. All this actually is discussed initially when they have team meetings, when the franchises are called. They also have their ACU members, the anti-corruption unit members of each team is attached. And every player is addressed because I've been part of the setup earlier. So I know what it is. So they're all that is discussed. You can't do this, you should do this, you shouldn't do that. Everything is defined and it's given in writing to the players. So here I found BCCI suddenly, just because there was something else happening, they wanted to, just put their nose into the whole thing and say, okay, we find that players are being honey trapped. And see, these are all mature cricketers. These are not 15-year-olds like a Suryavanshi. He's a young boy. He, he doesn't have time for all this because he's busy playing cricket. The way he's hitting the ball, he has no time for any other respect. So most of the cricketers, they're all dedicated. If they're playing IPL, they're all there with a lot of effort. So they're not going to mess around. So as I always said, I found this BCCI SOP to be silly. And if the BCCI is so worried about match fixing happening, and then it's like, BCCI, declaring such a scenario after the horse has bolted from the stables, because the BCCI itself encouraged betting. We had this My Circle, Dream 11, and whole lot of stuff. They were encouraging the thing, and players were wearing such thing on their logos on their shirts. So My Circle, My Dream 11, and all the other betting platforms were being, kind of promoted by the BCCI. It took the Supreme Court to tell the BCCI, the government and the BCCI, this cannot continue because many people were dying out of all the betting issues. They were borrowing money without able to repay. They were committing suicide. So it became a socio-economic issue, social issue, and that's where the Supreme Court stepped in and told the government told the government that there has to be a end to all this betting rackets, and this is where they had to come in and say. So now suddenly you wake up and say, oh, there's match fixing. You are the one who allowed. Even today, match fixing could happen. Today also there are tons of people putting money into betting. They're losing their lives. So all that is done now. BCCI to say we are very clean. We have done no damage to anybody. So we are now cautioning the players, the team management, and the public. So that I feel. As I said earlier, after the horses bolted, they have now raised the red flag.
No, again, since it's coming mid tournament, is honey trapping as serious as the BCCI SOP makes it sound like, or especially in this tournament, or have there been previous incidents in the IPL history where honey trapping has been such a major issue?
So in the past, things have happened. There's no doubt about that. I've seen it also. I've seen how people are set up, how their careers are ruined. There are great examples in Indian cricket. There are great examples in English cricket. There are great examples in Australian cricket, everywhere. So that has happened. People get trapped and then they are used. Once you're sucked in, that's it. And then you become a bakra and you do what you've been told, because otherwise your reputation is going to be washed in the public. So that's where I've seen it has happened. It could happen. Maybe it's happening now also, because if you look at it, I'm not too sure whether this is something that I read somewhere, that Preeti Zinta, the owner of the Punjab Kings 11, has written to the BCCI saying that she feels matches are being fixed and all the stuff. And then she's reacted also saying that no, it's just that things came to me and I jumped at it, kind of thing. So there cannot be smoke without fire in any incident. So honey trapping has happened, could happen, but I think all these professional cricketers now, they're not so stupid to get into these kind of tricks. Yes, there was report about certain players being going out late in the night. Anybody would do that. Any cricketer would do that. They also need a life. They can't be constricted and kept in a hotel room. You can't be caged. You need to have the liberty of doing what you want to do. Since you're not encouraged to bring in your girlfriends and your family into the hotel rooms, they will have to go out and meet them somewhere else. So to blame it on saying it is honey trapping, I don't know. I don't know how much to read into it.
Also, what enforcement or penalties does the BCCI impose for non-compliance with these protocols? Because these are just SOPs for the franchise.
I mean, see, if the franchisees are going to step out of what they're doing, if they're falling out of line or getting into match fixing or some other activity, the BCCI has every right to take action
Yeah.
against them. We all know what happened with Rajasthan Royals. We also know what happened with CSK, Chennai Super Kings. They were all involved in match fixing. Their teams were banned for 2 years. CSK was banned for 2 years. Rajasthan Royals was banned for 2 years. And those people who were involved in match fixing were kept out of the management. So the things have happened. And there are some players who have been indulged. If you all know what happened to Srishant, you'll know how he went through the kind of scenario, like, he was under a lot of pressure. So it was all evident. So, but eventually what happens is, from what I've seen, having been associated with cricket long time, for a very long time, that eventually you cannot, you know, definitely said, yes, this has happened. This is how some of the match fixers got away. Because you don't have the concrete evidence to prove it in the court of law that this man has been match fixing. You take the case of Karnataka Premier League. So many players were caught match fixing. They were arrested also. Some of the team owners were arrested. Eventually, what happened was the High Court in Karnataka said that this is a case of 420, so there cannot be any severe punishment. So they let the players and the team management get away. So there are a lot of loopholes. If you look at the past also, so many of our Indian cricketers, some of them have played international cricket. they were in big trouble. But then BCCI did not have any clinching evidence to say, yes, this man paid X so and so, so much money, and this is what this guy did, and all this stuff. They couldn't prove it in the court of law, and all of them got away. Even today, the same scenario. And the BCCI does not have the gumption nor the spine to take severe action, because there are a lot of people within the BCCI also need to be questioned. Because how did they allow this My Circle, Dream Level, and other betting platforms come into the cricket ecosystem? They shouldn't have been encouraged at all. These betting platforms should not have been there. So now BCCI is saying we are unfortunately, now the players are doing this, teams are doing this. It's all utter bullshit.
So in a way, are you saying the system has been corrupted, especially with betting platforms being allowed until and unless the Supreme Court intervene, and that does not make BCCI immune. So now, even though the SOPs have been issued, it's still not enough. It's still does not change the fact that there can be match fixing if that's happening.
See, this SOP just on paper. How you're going to implement it, what action you're going to take,
Right.
that has not been defined at all.
Yeah. So I
So
was just
just
asking
saying it is
that what measures happen if, let's say, a player is seen with somebody in the late hours or somebody else is visible in their room? What are the actions that they're gonna take?
See, the great examples are, if you look at what happened between India and South Africa, right? The number of players who were trapped, they were into match fixing. Their phone calls were tapped. Every recording was there. Eventually, who died? Anse Krone, the South African captain. He died in a plane crash, mischievous plane crash. And also, one of their coaches, you know, he died mysteriously during the World Cup in West Indies in 2007, Bob Ulmer. So there are a lot of things when you see it is tangible. But then again, you just can't go and say, yes, this happened. It's only tangible. It is not able, you're not able to go and prove this happened. Why did Anse Krone die in a plane crash? He was arrested. He was going through a bad time inquiry, and then the plane goes and hits it flies right into the rock in South Africa. I was there during that series, covering that series when we heard about the crash. So yes, there is match fixing happening. There's no doubt about it. And there are kingmakers, plenty of them. And we all know who they are also. And we know, because I for one know what happens in the KPL. What happened in the KPL and what will happen in the KPL also, I can tell you. Because you can't keep the corrupt out of this racket. They will continue to do what they do, because there's plenty of loopholes to get away. The punishment is just not what it should be.
Do you think with digital and social media channels coming into play, does it affect honey trapping, match fixing even more uh, than it would have just been if it was the physical game?
It does. Social media does. Supposing somebody who is walking with his girlfriend or someone else, and one of the social media influencers or anybody for that matter, he takes a picture because he's seeing a cricketer. So now what happens is, when he posts that picture saying, I saw somebody on the road walking through this at about 11 in the night, and there's somebody else with him, a lady with him. So immediately what happens is people start doubting. And then you got the doubting Thomases. We have millions of doubting Thomases. So immediately they will start putting two to two and saying, oh, this is what is happening. This guy is played badly in this match. He's been honey trapped. So they put two and two together, and social media can just add fuel to fire. So that is precisely what's happening. Because from what I heard was, one of the English cricketers, a very strong former cricketer, currently playing in the IPL, he happened to be with his girlfriend. He had stepped out of the hotel, and they noticed that he had gone out without informing the team management. He's not a nursery kid to go and take permission from the management and say, listen, I need to go out.
Right. Yeah.
You're stepping out for a ice cream or for a drink or
Just a
something.
walk, or they won't
Yeah.
take permission for that.
They stepped out. So what happens is the moment somebody puts it out in the domain, everybody, because today what has happened is cricket, a lot of pundits are there now. Everybody is a cricket commentator, everybody is a cricket expert. So you can imagine, because I would tell you, because those days when we were fortunate to travel with the Indian team. I was representing Deccan Herald those days. So wherever we went, there were hardly about 10 journalists. Just 10 journalists. In that 10 journalists, there would be 2 photographers, right? So we used to have a fantastic kind
Coverage.
of interaction with the players. We respected each other. We used to be hanging around late in the night, even 2:30. We had that great understanding, saying that what you do off the field is your baby. Right? Unless that what you do off the field is impacting the team, then we used to question if it was excessive. So we had that kind of liberty where we could, sit and chat with the players in their rooms or in the hotel lounge or in the bar, anywhere. So we were fortunate. Today, you have hundreds of cricket writers. People writing cricket.
Yeah.
Not cricket writers, people who are following cricket and writing about it, talking about it. So they have more prying eyes. Everybody is looking out for some scoop, some breaking news.
Yes.
So then they break the career of players also. So social media plays a big part. And as you were saying, today media is obsessed with this IPL. IPL is just club cricket.
Right.
What needs to be done is not being done. We are only, drumming and trumpeting only about IPL. What about the rest of the
Yeah, I was about to ask the same thing, that how do you see the coverage of IPL as compared to other cricket tournaments or sports in general? Because on social media, at least, when if a cricketer does something for the wife or their partner or anybody, that seems to get the headline rather than just their match performance as a player on the field. And everything between that, the line is blurred basically about their private life and the professional person on the field. How do you see the coverage and the audience interaction over the years with IPL?
See, there was a time in cricket when cricket lovers watched the match. We used to go and enjoy. I can recall matches from 1970s. But if you ask me to remember what happened yesterday in the IPL, I wouldn't know, honestly. But I can give you from 70s to late 90s, I can tell you whatever happened. I know it by the back of my hand. But if you ask me about yesterday's IPL, who won, who scored what, I'm blank. There's so much of rubbish happening. And so much rubbish has been written about it. So much noise being made about it, that we are all in a din. We're all caught in a din. So when you look at it, I feel sorry for the junior cricketers, because they're the ones who need the coverage. They need the pat on their back saying, well done, boy, well done, girl. You've done
The
extremely well.
recognition
We are
that a
happy
player
for you.
requires in the budding years.
Recognition, and that, that's where you get the
Yeah.
boost. Today, you see the media is only writing about IPL, this match, that match, and BCCI brings something or the other to be in the news. Because being in controversy, you make money. Cricket and BCCI, cricket and controversy are synonymous with each other. Where there's controversy, there's cricket. Where there's cricket, there's controversy. And in that, there's huge money made, because people are talking about it, writing about it.
Right.
People are debating about it. So there's more traction. So everybody is so much engaged with that. So money flows. So the BCCI also has realized it's a good strategy to make money. Keep the, fuel burning. Let it be burning so that more money comes in.
So before we end, what are the media guidelines again for covering personal misconduct allegations, even for the players, or how sports journalists or journalists nowadays cover IPL for the public. What would you say about that, and to them as well?
I mean, see, they're asked to do it. The management wants it, they have to do it. There's no other go today. But I recall what happened when I was touring. We were in Dambula in the Asia Cup in Dambula, Sri Lanka. And we were told that there was a girl in Suresh Raina's room. Okay. Now the Pakistan team was involved in match fixing and they were always in the news. Something or the other would to happen with the Pakistan cricket, and they were into fixing. They were also adjusting a lot of things. So now what happens is we get news that a girl is found in Raina's room. And then we all rushed to the team hotel and we hear from the reception, yes, there was so and so. She happened to be some kind of a management thing. Yeah, from his management team, or maybe whatever. So they attributed it to be somebody who's into fixing and all this stuff. How did she get into the room? So that became a big controversy.
Yeah.
And then BCCI asked us to go slow on that. And we said, okay, fair enough. We'll give it a fair chance. And that is how it should be. But the Pakistan management didn't let us rest on that, saying if it was a Pakistan player, you guys would have taken us apart. It's your own player involved, and there's a girl inside his room. How did you let it go? So this became a bone of contention during the Asia Cup in Dambula. So there are instances where a media can only write so much because we were not their witness. We did not witness the girl in his room. We have only been told yes, and the hotel management said yes, so and so came in, and so was received and was taken into the room. So we had to draw a line. We couldn't say that this really happened.
Yeah.
We heard about it, we reacted. So the media also now should understand a lot of things will be thrown around, a lot of things that will be happening. So we need to pick the right things to talk about and write about. And nearly making controversy like this honey trapping, ignited by the BCCI, is foolhardiness, what I would submit.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for your time and insight.
Thank you.